A look into a book with Balanagendran, an excavation for eternal bliss. Vanakkam, Vandanam, Namaste, Namaskar, good evening and welcome to A Look into a Book, an excavation for eternal bliss. Dear Radio Udaanites, here comes Balanagendran with the treasure in this treasure hunt show, A Look into a Book, an excavation for eternal bliss, on this fascinating Tuesday, 9 to 10 p.m. We are going to witness an exhilaration. We are going to feel the pleasure, and we are going to inculcate an invention that we haven't heard before. This is what the purpose of today's A Look into a Book, a treasure hunt of Radio Udaan, an excavation for eternal bliss with Balanagendran. Before delving into our proceedings, it's my duty to thank you all, and it's my great pleasure as well. Because of all of your support, A Look into a Book, this treasure hunt show is still on its path towards glory. It is still feeling the essence of gloriousness because of all of your fabulous support and cooperation. Your constant motivation coupled with recommendations of the ways and means through which I can improve my presentation and the books that I need to take into proceedings in this show startles me and makes me feel that Radio Udaan is presenting this treasure hunt show at the right time, at the right moment, to the right people. Keep listening, Radio Udaan, a flight of life. This is A Look into a Book with Balanagendran, an excavation for eternal bliss. Without your feedbacks, we wouldn't have gone to improve ourselves since day one. Since the inception of Radio Udaan, February 2nd, 2014, till date, 10 June 2014, we have been receiving your concerning comments and incisive indictments. If you want to develop it further, if you want to develop your Radio Udaan further, don't forget to feedback about all shows you are listening. Very simple. Just type in your address bar www.radioudaan.com, radioudaan.com, where you will get a submit feedback link. You click it, choose the show, rate it, and give your views. Surely one day or the other, your views will be incorporated into the operation of Radio Udaan's all shows. Your feedbacks is our key to success. Don't forget to feedback www.radioudaan.com, radioudaan.com. We have also in all social mediums. You can contact us through Facebook. We have pages and groups. Both of their IDs are Radio Udaan, RADIO space UDAAN. Or if you want to give your instant view to the RJ who is hosting, just do this. Add us into your Skype. Our Skype ID is Radio Udaan, RADIO UDAAN. Very simple. Add us into your Skype. Text us instantly. Now you can text me instantly. How do you feel about the presentation of today's exhilarating, informative, and incinerating show, A Look into a Book, an excavation for eternal bliss. As I said earlier, today I've come with a treasure. The treasure that we haven't heard before. Every week we are doing something new. We are taking new things, new paper bag. All of us, with the help of you all, I'm acting as a peeping Tom, and all of you are feeling as a booming boss. Things turned feeding frenzy in my life because of your support to this look into a book. Hence, it is my immense pleasure to bring new, unique presentations and sources of paperbacks and hardcover bags in front of all of you on every Tuesday 9 to 10 p.m. in this fantabulous 1 hour. The 60 minutes that we are going to deal today is going to talk about science, mystery, thriller, come the unknown facts about the secret societies. We are not going to talk about any scientific principle. We are not going to talk about scientific laws. We are not going to talk about any mystery and thriller that's going to chase like a cat and mouse game. Whereas we are going to talk about a real factual element that is at present, that is around us in the world, that can be used as a candle to light the world, or we can use it as the most deadliest weapon possible. That's what we are going to deal today. In front of all of you, I'm presenting you this fictional description of scientific factual elements. I thank the author who put all his strenuous effort to find and research about this reality, and most importantly, it is our immense pleasure to thank the author for putting all these things into his imaginative fiction. Henceforth, it has escaped the criticism and reached the minds and hearts of all of us. Every human being must read this in order to know where we are living, what we are doing, what the world will do, and where the world will go. Let's begin ourselves into our treasure hunt process. Surely today's presentation, the treasure that we are going to hunt, is an excavation that's going to provide us an eternal bliss. That's what the purpose of a look into a book, an excavation for eternal bliss, with your Bala Nagendran. On Radio Udaan of Flight of Life, we are going to deal a book that is going to talk about mystery and thriller, a genre in a fictional way, specifically dealing with science, the deadliest secret of science that most of us don't know. The book has been released 14 years ago, 2000, hence most of us don't know. That's what the purpose of me bringing this book into limelight with the help of Radio Udaan's fabulous widening the borders of its boundaries, covering 123 countries. I know many of you are listening now. Most of you may know or may not know what I'm going to talk about. A deadliest scientific secret and the secret society's process and function. How religion believed science and how religion tried to control the growth and flow of science. What science reverted, how science retaliated. That's what we are going to deal in today's look into a book with the help of the great Dan Brown's Angels and Demons. Angels and Demons, released in the year 2000, written by international best-selling author Dan Brown. As we have witnessed two of his creations in the past couple of months, Digital Fortress and Deception Point, I feel no more author introduction is of utmost importance. However, by considering the new entrance of listeners, as we have been widening the borders of our boundaries, as I said earlier, let me give an abstract of this great author. Dan Brown, born in USA 1964, worked as a literary teacher, perhaps I must say an English teacher, graduated from Seville, Spain. He's a great architect and a great writer. His hobby is creative writing and finding puzzles and solving it. Being the son of a mathematics professor and a piano player, Dan Brown has been influenced by music, art, culture and literature coupled with science. Due to his wife, Blythe, contribution, Dan Brown turned out to be known as one of the best sellers in the history of books. His controversial release, The Da Vinci Code, released in the year 2003, has become the most read book of all time, going beyond millions of copies and attracting people. Soon we will reveal and we will see and travel through that treasure in this treasure hunt show. As of now, let's plunge ourselves into Dan Brown's Angels and Demons, released in 2000. After Da Vinci Code, Dan Brown written The Lost Symbol in the year 2009 and the lately released Inferno on May 14, 2013. All of his 6 turned out to be international bestsellers. Inferno, the book released last year, occupied the best-selling book and the #1 position in best-selling books of the year from January till December 2013. This is what Dan Brown's creation, what he has special in this Angels and Demons. That's what the priority that we need to talk. Angels and Demon. The title attracts. What is angel and what's going to be demon? When we look into the title, we may feel like he is talking something religion, or he is going to talk something about vampires and other gothics. However, Dan Brown put it into different perspective and turned all our notions false. His Angels and Demons talk about science, talk about mystery behind science, talks about a thriller, a thrilling effect that will make us feel how scientific world reacts to the religious world, and vice versa, how religious world reacts to the scientific world. We might have heard the Vatican Church or the Secret Society of Church were targeting, and even perhaps most of us believe that they have killed the famous scientist Galileo. And we believe that they have targeted Isaac Newton, as he himself controverted and contravened the principles of science that has been believed by the church. The great geographer Gordon has been burnt alive in 1600 by the church because of him saying it is the earth that revolves around the sun, not the sun that revolves around the earth. This is where the science and the religious world differs. Who is angel and who is demon? Religion or science? That's what the author is trying to put in our mind to think. We must read and we must reflect and we must reiterate and we must reinvigorate the process that have been propagated by Dan Brown in Angels and Demons. What the book says. The book talks about the world's famous scientific research facility, Conseil Européen, Recherche and Research Nucléaire, CERN, CERN. We might have heard this. Especially, we have heard about CERN in last 2-3 years because of the claim of they have discovered the particle that is to be the reason for the emergence of Earth In simple terms, they termed it as Higgs boson, commemorating the famous scientist of Peter Higgs and India's own, the great Jagadish Chandra Bose. However, the media and the international community started proclaiming it as a God particle, as it being the reason for the emergence of the Earth. That's where we heard about CERN, its Large Hadron Collider. LHC, Large Hadron Collider, is nothing but a reactor that found by fissioning and fusioning the particles one another, and it has invented and discovered a new particle that's separated from the war. The new particle that has separated from the war has been put into fight in the Large Hadron Collider. The particles were colliding, fighting with each other. Afterwards, after minutes and hours of clash with the particles, suddenly an unknown new particle has been separated. That new particle has been put into the collider for clash, but it hasn't been splitted and it hasn't been broken. Hence, they have come to the conclusion that they have found the God particle or Higgs boson. Still, the research is yet to be proved. Henceforth, let's get back to the business of our treasure hunt today in our show. The CERN, the explanation of CERN by the author, how the institute functions, how the things that are kept in CERN, how the Large Hadron Collider functions. What about particles? What is antimatter? Antimatter is what the deadliest of the deadliest in science that we are going to witness. Because of that, Leonardo Vetra, the scientist, has been killed brutally. The scientist has been killed by twisting his face backward, and in his chest there was a burning mark, an ambigram. The mark is a form of an ambigram. What is an ambigram? What is it all about? If you read Dan Brown to the fullest, especially this Angels and Demons, at the very first instance we might feel that we have been blindfolded and taken into forest, but then only you will come to know that you haven't gone into the forest, but you have been taken into a lush green garden where you have to find the sources that you don't know in your life ever. The prologue begins as Leonardo Vetra's killing. Afterwards, the hero is introduced. I mean, the protagonist of the novel, Robert Langdon. Here I must say, Dan Brown is a serial writer. Serial writer in the sense, like Arthur Conan Doyle, who written in the name of Sherlock Holmes, Agatha Christie, who written in the name of Poirot. Like that, Dan Brown is known for writing in the name, a serial writing. The protagonist's name will always be Robert Langdon. Don't get confused when we review the Da Vinci Code, the Lost Symbol, and Inferno, where we have to speak about the same man, Robert Langdon, an iconist, a symbologist, and an ancient historic artifact expert. We are going to talk about Robert Langdon, his outmaneuvering features, and his intellectual essence that the author put in. Robert Langdon is a blend of the character John Langdon, who is alive still at the Harvard University and who happened to be the professor to Dan Brown in teaching ambigrams, symbols, and puzzles. That's where the Robert Langdon character has begun. The first book in the serial of Robert Langdon series is Angels and Demons that we are looking today. Robert Langdon said in one interview that he is planning to write 12 more Robert Langdon series. Already he has written 4 plus 12, 16 Robert Langdon series. He is going to overcome all the others who have been the serial writers. Let's get back to our book Angels and Demons, presented by Dan Brown. A look into a book with Balanagendran, an excavation for eternal bliss. Author's note. The book contains the scientific facts and historic facts that are real and that it can be noticed till date. The European Research Scientific Facility, situated at Switzerland, Conseil Européen Recherche Nucléaire, CERN, CERN, is still looking forward in producing antimatter. Antimatter is a smallest of the particles, like all the other matters that we use in our day-to-day life. Conversely, antimatter happen to be the opposite in functioning as that of the matters that we use. A droplet of antimatter can be used to light up the entire New York City throughout a day. A few droplets of antimatter is equal to 20,000 kilotons of nuclear warhead or nuclear bomb that has been used on Hiroshima. Simply speaking, few droplets of antimatter equals a nucleus bomb that has been put and exploded on Hiroshima. What the scientific world is going to do? Is it going to use the antimatter as a resource producing element, or are we going to witness the world's deadliest weapon? Author note ends. Prologue. Physicist Leonardo Vetra, screaming in agony and smelling the burning flesh by knowing that that is his own flesh, looking at the dark face above him and watching the face coming closer at him. "What do you want?" screamed Leonardo Vetra. "Lo cheo," said the face. "That is password." I don't. The dark face injected a hot white metal into the chest, making the flesh of Leonardo Vetra burn in his sound. "For the love of God," Leonardo Vetra screamed. No use. He started feeling the darkness closing around him. The dark face said, "Lo cheo, por favor." But Leonardo Vetra had in his mind very clear that he's not going to get the password. He's not going to get what he wants. And suddenly, the darkness is closing around him very soon. And he could see a blight that is closing around his face. The blight started plunging around his face surgically and methodologically. "For the sake of God, for the love of God," he screamed, but it happened to be too late. Prologue ends. High atop at the pyramid of the Gita. A woman is screaming at Robert Langdon. Come on, Robert. I could have married to a young man. Robert Langdon is saying, wait for a while, please, woman. You turned out to be beautiful but killing me. And suddenly, he started opening his eyes, feeling something shaky in his head. He wanted to grab the woman. Went out through his hairs but found nothing but empty air. Suddenly, his ears hearing a thunder of telephone bell ringing beside his bed. Hello? Mr. Robert Langdon? The voice echoed. Yes? I am a discrete particle physicist and I would like to have a talk to you. So I would like to meet you soon. Getting mad at him, Robert Langdon said, sorry, Mr. Gentleman, what is the time now? Are you able to know what is the time? The clock ticking and moving, passing 5:18 a.m. The physicist said, sorry, I apologize for that. However, the image and the scenario is serious where I am in need of you. Robert Langdon said, probably you may be calling to a wrong Langdon. The voice echoed, is this the professor of symbology, of ancient history and artifacts, Robert Langdon? Langdon replied, yes. The voice said, you are that person that I need. You can meet me in 1 hour. Our lab is 1 hour from your residence. Decide. Robert Langdon gone mad and hung up the phone call. Knowing what to do and losing his sleep, he moved to his kitchen to make a morning hot coffee. The dawn is piercing into the night and the night is leaving the day like the last kiss of the girlfriend. He is piercing into his windows and trees and looking what is the call, why the call has come to him. Suddenly another echo has started erupting in his home. His friends used to call his home as a museum rather than being at home because he used to possess the symbolic artifacts, the gold cross from Italy, the Illuminati sign from Rome, and various pyramids and symbols that are used in ambigrams and anagrams and in various ancient and medieval history plots. Dan Brown has portrayed about Robert Langdon as a person who is wearing Harry's tweed jacket and 2 chino pants coupled with round-necked sweater. We will see of that later, but let's get back to Dan Brown's residence. When he heard another sound, now he realized that this is not his telephone but fax. He opened and went towards his fax and picked up the papers that have been printed and deposited at the tray. And he seen a dead corpse. Robert Langdon felt nauseating. Feeling pale, his knees began to buckle. The body of a man who has been killed in the most grotesque, most diabolical and most brutal way possible. The body is straightened, but his face, the face of the body, has been twisted backward. So one who are able to see the man's chest can see the back head of the man. You can imagine how he has been killed. And he has found the chest where the burning mark of flesh, and by piercing into the burning mark, Robert Langdon, stunned, started feeling the sweat. He stunned and said to himself the symbol. He rotated the paper 180 degrees. Again seen the same symbol. He rotated 90 degrees, that is right upside down and left upside down, vice versa. He has seen nothing but the same symbol. What is that symbol? Illuminati. What is Illuminati? What they want to do? Illuminati is part of research of Robert Langdon as being a professor of symbolic studies of symbols. And he feels like the paleontologist is meeting a dinosaur alive. Everything is past. In his study, everything is a history except this Illuminati. This Illuminati is present. That's what he was thinking, and he thought a ringing sound in his ears, and it happened to be real. He picked up the receiver and said, "Hello, Mr. Langdon? Have you found that you are the right man? If you decide, you can meet me in 1 hour. The flight will be waiting for you at the Boston in 20 minutes. You can reach there in 20 minutes." Robert Langdon said, "You win, you got it, I'll meet you." "By the way, who are you?" asked Robert Langdon. "I'm discrete particle physicist Maximilian Kohler," said the personality. "Who is a Kohler?" While reading the book, don't forget to read about Maximilian Kohler with utmost care. If you have listened to our discussion about disability discourse, where we have been speaking about disability literature, this book can also be used to point out as a book where there is a writing about disability or on disability, because Maximilian Kohler is a paralyzed man. Perhaps we must say, with respect, a paralyzed, ingenious scientist, discrete particle physicist of CERN. We are going to meet all of them. What happened to Leonardo Vetra? Has he been left with his body, or any further damage has been done to him? Why the blade has been taken to his face? Stay tuned to a look into a book to know all these secrets in our show today, An Excavation for Eternal Bliss. Today we are dealing with Dan Brown's The Great Angels and Demons, a book that talks about mystery and thriller.
रेडियो उड़ान की नई प्रस्तुति इंटेरोगेट योर इंटेलिजेंस। जी हाँ दोस्तों, रेडियो उड़ान लेकर आए कमाल का शो जिसमें सवालों को सुलझाओ और मनचाहे इनाम पाओ। हर शनिवार रात 9 से 10 बाला नगेंद्रन और दानिश महाजन के साथ सुनना मत भूलिए आपका अपना शो रेडियो उड़ान क्विज।
A look into a book with Bala Nagendran, An Excavation for Eternal Bliss. Before dealing the proceedings, it must be necessary for us to talk about Illuminati and ambigrams. First, what is Illuminati? Illuminati is a legendary secret society that trying to penetrate scientific principles and their common beliefs of scientific notions into the minds of the people who are fanatically following what religion says. Simply speaking, they are against the scientific beliefs of the church. Illuminati is said to be extinguished 400 years ago by Dan Brown in his novel Angels and Demons. Second one, ambigram. This is an interesting project. Ambigram is a word coined to note the expressions, the symbol, and the arts that will resemble different interpretations and will express different words, meanings, and ideas if you change the direction of the ambigram. That is, if you change the direction of the creation. Palindrome. It's happened to be an ambigram. As we all know, palindrome is a chain of words. If you look either from the left to right or from the right to left, the word will pronounce the same, like I, E, Y, E. If you reverse it, it is the same. Madam, race car, like that. Various other ambigrams. There are three-dimensional ambigrams, mirror ambigrams. If you look into the mirror, or if you show the letters of the ambigram or letter of a word in the mirror, and if you change the direction, it will give you another word. It will give you another symbol. For example, checkbook. If you write all the letters of a word checkbook in capital, and if you show it in a mirror on the vertical basis, it will give you another interpretation. Try it, as scientists proclaim that checkbook, the word, is the largest ambigram of that kind. The book is going to deal the Illuminati and the symbols that they present at the body and at the puzzle as an ambigram. That's what the reason for the exploitation of Illuminati and ambigram. Leonardo Vetra's adopted daughter, Victoria Vetra, has been informed of the death of her adopted father. Stunned and shocked by the death and the news, she has turned back to CERN to find out who is responsible. The people and the director were greeting Robert Langdon. Robert Langdon, in the meantime, aborted the new Hull jet. The description of jet, the flight that has been sent to Robert Langdon by the director of CERN, or simply the person who was speaking to Langdon via telephone, was awesome. The flight has no window. The flight has no glass. It is completely at 200 feet of hull. The flight has nothing to be specified as wings except few needles that goes here and around. The pilot will explain to Robert Langdon that the flight has the capability of carrying a speed up to 20:1. The common conventional jets will fly at the speed of 7:1. That's why they are able to travel to Swiss in 1 hour from Boston. Robert Langdon has been taken to CERN. While reading Robert Langdon's arrival to CERN and the paths he has crossed, the lush green gardens, the playgrounds, the scientists and the noble raids that he crossed in while walking towards the director's room, the underground path and the subway and the marbled white flattened floors and steel-coated bugged up rooms and the air conditions and also the director's room have been explained in a step-by-step traveling guide or a travelogue by Dan Brown. Here we need to mention about Dan Brown's specialty. Apart from his research work apart from his way of presentation, apart from his description, apart from his characterization and plot, it is necessary to point out from the Dan Brown speciality as he is the best in describing the environment. That is, he is the best in describing the environment of the scenario in which the scene is occurring. If Robert Langdon is traveling into CERN, he has done his best and he made it the best to explain about how CERN used to look. Even in his author's note, he has mentioned all the tunnels, tombs, domes that are mentioned in the novel are still exist that can be seen till date. Robert Langdon went to Leonardo Vetra's scientific lab and he has seen the body, the gruesome, brutalized body of Leonardo Vetra, naked, put in the pool of urine, and the blood was pouring from his chest. The face has been twisted backward. The face has been placed on the floor and the body has been twisted topsy-turvy. Stunned, unable to know what to do, director turned the body backward and he has seen a scene that made him feel fading. Leonardo's eyes, one of the right eye, that is, one of his eyes that has happened to be the right eye, is missing. Victoria Vetra, reaching CERN, found, faded, fainted, and she was in utter shock after looking at the body, the picture of Leonardo Vetra's position. Then she has hurriedly taken Robert Langdon and Maximilian Kohler, the director of CERN, into the laboratory in which Victoria Vetra and Leonardo Vetra were working in the same project, that is producing antimatter. The canister, that is the godown or the showcase in which the antimatter particles can be kept with safety, is there at the laboratory. When it is there at the CERN, it is kept with the electrically charged connected wires, therefore the antimatter particle is stable. If you disconnect from the wires, from the electric charge, it has the battery backup of 1 day. After 24 hours, the battery will go off and the antimatter will be self-exploded and it will create the destruction that the world has ever witnessed, said Victoria Vetra to the people who are walking with her. When she has reached the door of the lab, she has seen the drop of blood at the floor. Puzzled, and she has found the clue of where Vetra's eyes. She placed her right eye in the lens. The lens recognized her eyeball and the door opened to the canister. When she entered in, the showcase was found to be nowhere. Knowingly stolen by the people, Victoria, Robert Langdon and Kohler have come to the conclusion that we need to act in an expedite manner in order to avoid the ensuing explosion of the world due to the antimatter particle, and the secret must be kept as it is. If the world comes to know of the antimatter particle and its destructive effects, it is not going to be good for all of us, said Kohler, and asked Robert Langdon and Victoria to move to Rome. After receiving a phone call, Kohler reacted in an angry way and said both of them to move to Rome. Why Robert Langdon and Victoria have been asked to move to Rome? What is the reason behind Kohler's sudden reactionary change? Why he has faced a cardiac arrest? What happened to his health? Everything has been kept by Dan Brown in the utmost fifth flow of streaming effect in the very great book Angels and Demons. As he explains Maximilian Kohler, we must say that he is a paralyzed man due to their parents' religious beliefs. They have avoided him scientific medication, hence he turned paralyzed, but became an ingenious expert in science and particle physics, especially a genius in discrete particle production. That's where Kohler is contradictory to church. That's where the author takes us to Rome.
आप सुन रहे हैं रेडियो उड़ान, द फ्लाइट ऑफ लाइफ, वर्ल्ड्स नंबर 1 इंटरनेट रेडियो स्टेशन ऑफ इट्स ओन काइंड. सुनते रहिए और एंजॉय कीजिए रेडियो उड़ान.
Words, words, words. Let's sing in the ocean of words and explore its origin, meaning, usage, and many other known and unknown facts about it. Let's sail in the world of magical words and travel far with entertainment. To listen, Ocean of Words. Every Wednesday from 10 to 11 p.m. log on www.radioudan.com.
A look into a book with Balanagendran, an excavation for eternal bliss. Both of them have gone to Rome to meet the pontiff's office, that is the Pope's office. Pope has been found dead, hence his immediate in charge, that is the personal assistant, Camerlengo, Carlo Ventresca, was acting as acting Pope for the administrative purpose. A greeny-eyed, translucent-faced, sweet-voiced man has met both of them in the Secretariat. And in the meantime, he received a call from the Illuminati, and they said they have captured the cardinals who are about to be elected and who are about to be in contention for the next Pope's elections. Stunned by the announcement, Camerlengo, Robert Langdon and Victoria have come to the conclusion about the canister and said that they need to act in a team to find the missing cardinals and also missing canister that contains antimatter that will spoil the entire Rome in particular, and it will explode into the world in general in the most hellacious way possible. They have chosen, and the Swiss Guard have been put all around the place. On the same day, the pontification or the papal's new election of Pope was also scheduled to take place. For that, people must be cardinals to conduct or to contest in the election that we all know. 4 cardinals, one from Germany, one from France, one from Spain, and one from Italy have been chosen. Unfortunately, 4 of them have been kidnapped or abducted by the Illuminatis, who are suspected to be the thieves or robbers of the same antimatter canister. Robert Langdon has asked the permission to visit the library of Pope from the Camerlengo, and he has found the secrets or the path of Illuminati. The Illuminati announced in a phone that 4 of the cardinals, all the 4 cardinals, will be sent to heaven with the help of the path of the Illuminati. He has found the path of Illuminati. Path of Illuminati is nothing but the way through which the members or the people will be inducted as members into the Illuminati. The procedure that we have to follow, that is earth, air, fire and water. As we used to say, Vayu, Agni, like that. So the Illuminati and the path of Illuminati has been found with the help of Galileo's description in the library. The library's scene, the act in the library has been explained by Dan Brown, will make us to sit at the edge of the seat till the end of the book, is a sort of simile that I must say here. If you read Angels and Demons, kindly read without religious hatred. Kindly read without hatred on science. You may be a fervent believer of religion, but just read what Dan Brown is saying there. As I said earlier in my book reviews, all fictions are not a fiction itself. Fictions are imaginative, but all fictions are not. That's what my point, that's what I earned while reading these sort of great authors who have torn themselves up to put the real facts into their imaginative creation. They are going by following the symbols that are presented in the Galileo's notes from Santa Maria della Victoria, Santa Maria del Popolo, West Ponente St. Peter's Squares, and ecstasy of St. Teresa's Church. They are going and roaming in and around the Rome according to the directions shown in the notice of Galileo. They have found that in the first, Cardinal Urban, a cardinal from Germany, Frankfurt, has been killed by asphyxiation, that is, putting soil and dirt into the mouth of someone and making them die because of the filling and suffocation of the dirt in their mouth and throat. Brutal killing. In the body of Cardinal Urban, there was an ambigram that resembled Earth. They have gone to the next church, where they have found another cardinal has been killed in front of them, but there was no human being or no killer. The cardinal was lying in front of them, writhing in pain as his lungs got punctured, and he suddenly regurgitated as stinky odored water hit Langdon's suits, and the cardinal's soul sent to heaven. The punctured lungs resembles he has been killed on the primordial or a thematic way of air. The path of Illuminati resembles the primordials of earth, air, fire and water, as we have said. After finishing and after finding and after failing to find the true priest alive, Robert Langdon moved to Santa Maria della Victoria in Italy, and Robert Langdon is finding the killer who is firing Cardinal Lamose Guidaire alive. Cardinal Lomose Gedire has been found by hanging with barbed wires around his arms, and the fire started racing towards his feet, covering his feet, the fire growing up and up and up and making everything below his waist burnt alive. Watching this, Robert Langdon fainted and fall down. And the last propriety, the last killing by the Illuminati took place at the Four Fountain Rivers, the Basilica, where Robert Langdon and the killer had a fight. However, Cardinal Gedire hasn't been found alive, as he has been chained up his hands and drowned at the bottom of a fountain. Failed in 4 priests, Robert Langdon and Victoria were running towards a path without knowing where they are going, and they have found St. Peter's Square's tunnel, and they have pierced in and started running into the tunnel, and they have found a chamber that happened to be the path to a Pope's room, where they have met the killer again. The killer kidnapped Victoria. Robert Langdon, following the footsteps of the killer and the blood stains, found the killer, and Victoria and Robert Langdon had a plot and made the killer to fall 100 feet below the earth from the Pope's office. When they see the body going down to the prism of land, they have met the helicopter getting down. The person who has got down from the helicopter was none other than the wheelchaired, paralyzed Maximilian Kohler. They thought Kohler is the one who has happened to be the killer. Even Camerlengo, Carlo Ventresca, planned and killed that ingenious disabled scientist. Everything has been put into plot by the Camerlengo. As I am saying, Camerlengo from the beginning, while discussing about this book, while reading, you read this Camerlengo carefully, because the author has a twist. He is providing you the cake when you expect the least. He is providing you a shock when you least expect to touch the current. The Dan Brown's unveiling secrecy methodology is mind-boggling, as he has proclaimed that the person who kidnapped the 4 cardinals or preferatis, the person who used the signature and the ambigram of the Illuminati, the person who killed Leno Vetra, and the person who abducted and kidnapped the canister, who stolen the canister and the antimatter particle, is none other than the acting Pope Camerlengo Carlo Ventresca. After finding Camerlengo is happened to be the killer, there was a dialogue between science and religion in a hot way between Victoria and Camerlengo, where Camerlengo is saying anything that is against the church, that has to be destroyed. It will affect the beliefs of the people, and it will make the people to turn machines, and the lives of the people will turn without faith. This is what the justification of him destroying the scientists and killing the preferati. And finally Camerlengo came to know that the dead Pope was also not saint enough, as he has given artificial insemination to a nun. That is, he has donated his semen to a nun through a science process, and that nun conceived and delivered a baby. That baby is none other than this killer, the acting Pope Camerlengo. After knowing this, he ran away to the St. Peter's Squares and took the canister with his hands. Robert Langdon followed. Both of them aboarded the helicopter. As soon as the helicopter steered up from the city of Vatican, city of Rome, towards the sky, after going the height of 4,000 feet, Camerlengo, with the help of a parachute, took over the canister, opened the door, and jumped down towards the earth. As soon as he jumped, he threw the canister in the air. As few seconds left for the canister to be self-exploded, Camerlengo's brazen activity helped and saved the people from the ensuing explosion as the canister burst into flames in the sky, making the entire room lightened up with white and red colored fires. Without damage, Camerlengo landed on St. Peter's Square's back with the help of a parachute. Seeing this, Robert Langdon took the window's cover of the helicopter as a parachute, holding it above his head by his two hands, opened the door of the helicopter, and he too jumped down to earth. While he was jumping, he hasn't noticed what is below him. A dark black color waves swiveling and swirling around and around, piercing into the places. Robert Langdon is going down and down to the river. Finally, Robert Langdon plunged himself into the fearsome flowing Diaper River. What happened? Has Langdon been saved? Is what the climax of the book. What happened to Victoria? Where Robert Langdon? And why the Camerlengo, the killer, and the biological son of the Pope fired himself alive and so he died? These are the climax of this great Angels and Demon. Read it, surely you will feel the ecstasy of excitement. I read it, I felt it, I liked it. Today, I put it in front of all of you. Read it and tell me how it is. Write to me about your feedbacks about this show. A look into a book, an excavation for eternal bliss, to www.radioudaan.com, radioudaan.com. Excellent, very good, good, okay, poor is your choice, and that's my key to success. Don't forget to feedback me. I'll meet you all next week. Already it's overtime. Henceforth, let me say, take care of yourself, if possible take care of others. I'll meet you next week, Tuesday 9 to 10 p.m. with another treasure in our treasure hunt show. A look into a book, an excavation for eternal bliss. Till then, good night, stay safe, buenas noches, vanakkam. A look into a book with Bala Nagendran, an excavation for eternal bliss.